Hey everyone, welcome to Mindful Mindsets. Today we're going to talk about some activities that you can do to be more mindful. So we've already talked about mindful mindsets, and our mindsets are very critical to our mindfulness, but these activities I think are almost inherently mindful. They almost force us to be mindful. So you can do any activity mindfully. Conversely, you could probably do any activity mindlessly. It's probably possible to meditate mindlessly, but I think these activities are a little bit more likely to make you mindful. It's kind of hard almost to do them mindlessly. And in doing research for this video, I found a ton of great lists of mindful activities to do. The issue that I ran into is most of them were suggestions of things like mindfully brush your teeth, mindfully listen to music, mindfully clean the house, which is great, and you should absolutely do that if you can. The problem I thought, though, is that that's more of a mindset to me than it is an activity. There's nothing inherently mindful about those activities. Now, we can certainly do them mindfully, and I think that's great if we do, but they won't necessarily increase our mindfulness unless we really have that intention. So if you're interested in that, definitely check out our Mindful Mindsets video, but here's just a couple activities that you can do that will make you more mindful. So the first activity is journaling. Just writing anything, free writing, writing about your emotions, and you can do this in a bunch of different ways. In fact, research has shown that really any way you journal increases well-being. So something that I've done for almost 6.5 years now, so I probably have around 10 to 20,000 entries, which is a positivity journal. So every night before I go to bed, my notebook is on my floor over here. I just write down positive things from the day. So when I started out, my goal was just to write 3. And I noticed when I started, I had to kind of crowbar in positives, kind of like force them to be positive. And now I often write 10 to 20 things. It's real easy to notice positivity. And it really helps you be more mindful of positive things and makes you look for positive things throughout the day. So I highly recommend that. On the flip side, journaling about negative events, stressful events, is also helpful. And one study showed that participants tended to write things like, I see now, I now realize, it's clear to me that. And that's what journaling about negative things often does for us. It makes it more coherent. And I have a theory that writing probably requires much more brain activity than even speaking, let alone having just free-floating emotions, and that activates all kinds of brain regions and probably makes us much more mindful of how we're feeling and forces us to make it a lot more logical. So I don't know if that's true or not. I'd love somebody to do some fMRI studies to prove or disprove that point, but regardless of whether or not that's true, journaling in any form increases our mindfulness and increases our well-being. So another activity that you can do that almost inherently increases mindfulness is yoga. Yoga is such a great tool because it basically combines the absolute 2 best psychological interventions, which is exercise and meditation. So if you want to debate what the best thing to do for your psychological well-being is, it's either exercise or meditation, but those are 1A and 1B by a landslide. So those are definitely the 2 best things to do, and what better thing to do than combine the 2 in yoga. So it's really difficult to be mindless when you're engaging in yoga, especially if you're doing it slowly. So there are some kind of core power yogas, still great, still exercise, always going to be good for you. May not be quite as mindful as the slower yogas where you're really holding poses and you're becoming really aware of your body. But any yoga is always great yoga. So that will also increase our mindfulness. The third activity, and this has been suggested by a lot of different people, you can make your own twist on it. I like to do a smile exercise in the mirror. So maybe every day when you wake up, you just smile 10 times in the mirror at yourself and play around with different things. It will make you more mindful. I actually think any mirror exercise will make you more mindful because you'll notice things you're not used to noticing. So maybe not putting on your makeup or doing your hair or anything because you do that mindlessly every day. But if you just kind of look at yourself in the mirror, hopefully with an accepting attitude, it will make you more mindful. And I like the smile exercise because after a while, it just becomes hard to sort of fake smile and you just start making weird faces at yourself and you go, ah, ah. And hopefully you can laugh at yourself. And laughter is often a result of increased mindfulness. Often we find things that are funny because they're pointing out new or different or weird perspectives, and that is inherently more mindful. The third activity I want to talk about is therapy. And the reason why I want to include this is obviously its benefits are well known, especially for combating negative emotions. It's a little less clear whether therapy would be beneficial for people that are already doing well, if it would make them do better. I'm not sure on that. I don't think there's a lot of research on that. But I actually think one of the reasons that therapy works is that it inherently increases mindfulness. It's very similar to journaling in the sense that your therapist will kind of force you to make things more coherent, to make things more logical, to realize the reasons behind things, and that will be beneficial to you. So I have an idea for a research study, which is to take every possible interventions we can think of that we know works, that we know has well-being benefits, and try to find out what they have in common. And I suspect that one of the things almost every intervention would have is that it increases mindfulness. So journaling, meditation, and smiling in the mirror and therapy don't have a whole bunch of things in common, but they all increase mindfulness. And in my hypothesis, that is why they work, or one of the reasons why they work. There's probably many reasons why they work. And of course, you know what the last suggestion is going to be, and that is meditation. It would be hard to find, and of course the other one you could argue is exercise, but I don't think there's anything better for your well-being, and there's almost certainly nothing better for increasing mindfulness than meditation. I know a lot of people are intimidated by meditation, and that's why I want to include all these other suggestions. Ellen Langer, I think, is a great person to read all of her research for a whole lot of reasons, but another reason to read her research is she does talk about a lot of ways to increase mindfulness without meditation. She's not an expert on meditation, she is an expert on mindfulness, and so she has a whole bunch of ways to increase mindfulness without meditation. I am surprised, though, she lets other people talk about meditation because she says they're experts and she isn't. But she and a lot of other psychologists I've heard have said that one of the reasons they want to find other ways for people to be mindful is that they don't think everyone can sit down for 20 minutes twice a day to meditate. I think that's not true. I think everyone could do it. It would be difficult for some. But B, I'm surprised that they hold this view. I think that meditating for 5 minutes is extraordinarily beneficial. I think meditating for 5 seconds would be beneficial, probably not super beneficial, but it would still be worthwhile. So don't force yourself to meditate longer than is comfortable, or if you start really having negative thoughts or anything like that, or if it's just too intimidating that meditating twice a day for 20 minutes, you're not going to get through it. Just commit to meditating 5 minutes every day. Build that habit, build that seed, and it will grow. And you will see a whole bunch of benefits. Maybe that's a new word we can do. Mindful benefits. You will see a whole bunch of benefits from meditation. So I highly encourage you to do that. Let me know in the comments below any suggestions you have for activities that you find inherently mindful, or at least really likely to make us mindful. I'd love to hear some more suggestions. I actually had trouble finding other activities, and there weren't many suggestions on that. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time.